everyone? I am Chobopeon. This is SC Report. I'm here, as always, with my co-host, JP McDaniel. JP, how's it going, man?
It is going good, Patrick. We had a fun state of the game last night. A lot of drama on there that I didn't really plan for. But it's going good, man. How's it going up there in New York? It's a little bit cold right now in Texas.
It's getting kind of cold here, too. After an Indian summer, it was warm for a while. But it's funny you mentioned state of the game, because that's what I want to talk about. The internet blew up last night. I was off doing other things. My spidey senses tingled. I noticed the Twitter was blowing up, Reddit, and I tuned in. And as soon as Artosis started going on that rant, viewership went up like 2,000-3,000 like immediately. So can you just tell us exactly what happened, at least in the meat of the show, and maybe give us an idea of what else you talked about last night? Because you guys can all catch the VOD right now on MLG TV. It is featured on top.
Sure, yeah. So we started the show off talking about DreamHack and kind of recapping that event and what happened. And prior to the show, Artosis had told me that he wanted to talk about something, and he kind of referenced it a little bit, and it had happened before. Of course, he was referencing the fact that sometimes at these tournaments, when the casters are creating these games, so if you aren't aware, we have to go in, create the lobby, choose the map, invite the players, and then the casters are the people actually starting the game. So in the course of doing this, every so often, some of the players get a little bit emotional in the sense that they say some things that probably shouldn't really be taken or shouldn't be said in the first place, but also the casters maybe are getting a little bit defensive. But words were said at DreamHack, and it kind of set Artosis on tilt a little bit. So he brought it to the public eye, and as soon as he did this, he wasn't referencing any names, but as soon as it happened, Huck tweeted at us. The entire chat was going crazy, telling us to get Huck on. I had asked in the chat for in Skype with all of us in there with the guest and the host of State of the Game if we should bring Huck on. And for me, as the producer, it's kind of hard to do it because you see right there we only have 5 screens. But Huck just came over and grabbed In Control's headset after we came back from the break. And they kind of had a discussion about tournaments and how players kind of have to wait on casters and how they shouldn't be the ones waiting, et cetera, back and forth. It was really healthy discussion. There wasn't any kind of name calling or anything like that. So a very interesting discussion on there that happens in the first, I think, hour of the show. Pretty much the entire hour was about that. So it was a lot of fun. Did you happen to catch it at all? I kind of want to get some other people's thoughts on it.
I did. Like I said, my spidey senses tingled. All the chats I were in blew up, and they said, you got to watch it. So I tuned in. I didn't get to catch. I caught the tail end of Artosis' rant, which basically seemed to be players need to respect casters more because it's not their fault when there are giant delays. Huck came on, said, well, if anyone's getting mistreated, it's the players. Sheth sort of agreed that he's waited up to 5 hours. And frankly, for me, the takeaway was events need to really get the schedule working much, much smoother because to have casters, I mean, it comes down to this. Idra actually tweeted about this. Casters, their days are exhausting. It's 12 or 16 hours. I mean, Idra's tweet was, if you're a caster and you mess up, you sound awkward. If you're for a second, if you're a player and you mess up, you lose a tournament. And it's true, but at the same time, casters are out there for 16 hours or 12 hours or whatever crazy day there is on these weekends. And then there's the fact that players have to deal with poor scheduling or delays or whatever. So I feel like something has to be done in that regard by the events. It's too bad that in the end, these two parties, the players and the casters, take it out on each other when, in fact, I believe you said it should be the players should talk to the manager, the casters should talk to the manager, and everyone should get in the event's ear, whoever's doing it, and really fix it up through him, because otherwise it's just a couple of people trash talking each other and nothing's getting done.
Yeah, it's really I mean, no one should be name calling anyone for any of that. It really just boils down to all the cogs the cogwheels kind of turning at once. If a tournament's supposed to say the tournament's supposed to play the match at 4 o'clock, well, if it's not playing at 4 o'clock, there's probably a reason for it. Either it's technical reasons, the player's PC is not set up correctly, the caster's not in his chair, the game hasn't been created yet, they can't find the map, the player wants something in his booth. I mean, there's a billion reasons for something not starting on time. And I mean, At the end of the day, really just comes down to starting on time, and everything that can lead up to that can be fixed ahead of time, that can be known about ahead of time, probably needs to be fixed. But at the same time, I mean, you shouldn't go out and get emotional about it and start name calling someone in the lobby chat, because I mean that's not good for anyone.
Yeah, I would say that people talk about esports and they immediately compare them to regular sports. We want esports. We want MLG to be the NFL, to be the NBA. We want DreamHack to be the World Cup and what have you. But those regular sports are establishments with giant infrastructures, hundreds, thousands of employees, and they've been around for way longer than us. I mean, I hate to say it, but the truth of the matter is, a lot of this for MLG, for DreamHack, even DreamHack, who's been around for a long time and dealing with StarCraft and PC games for a long time, they're still relatively new at it, and it's still, relatively speaking, a bare bones operation. So in the end, like I said, I would say these organizations are going to have to learn and build on top of it. And I understand getting frustrated, though. I really do. I've seen these players sitting around for hours at a time, and it's got to kill, and waking up at crazy hours after going to sleep at late. So I understand it. It sucks. Things need to change for sure. So
yeah. Well, let's talk about StarCraft, because there was GSL Code A, man. They have 8 series a night now. It seems like it's a lot to watch. I mean, I can't even watch it all. It's 2 games at once. It's like watching an MLG in 4 or 5 hours at 4 a.m. in the morning. So I feel sorry for the Europeans now, because I know exactly what it's like when we put on an event here at MLG.
Yeah, it can be kind of exhausting. But so the first game was July 2-0ing Genius. He is going to go on to play 4GG. Now this means 2 old Brood War pros. I know you were talking about 4GG taking out Pult 2-0 pretty convincingly. I know you were really impressed. So what do you think is going to happen in this game, July 4GG, though?
I'm pretty sure 4GG is just going to roll over him. July's kind of fallen out. That being said, he might be able to do some of his kind of one-base all-in trickery that he does a lot. But I think 4GG will take it. July is not the July from Brood War. And so far, I mean, we haven't really seen anything to doubt 4GG's skill. But should be an exciting match. Hopefully over in Korea, some more people will watch that, simply because it is 2 Brood War players going, where in Korea right now, Brood War is still the dominant esport compared to StarCraft 2.
Yes. Match 2, Hero versus ASD, the game of the day. I know you saw it. Talk to me about it.
Yeah, so it was an interesting match. For those of you who don't know, we will be spoiling this. Hero did lose to ASD, and this is, I believe, game 1. So it started out, both players went for fast expansions, which really should not be a surprise. Hero went for Nexus first, and then ASD went for the 1 Rax expand. And then Hero went for a pretty quick third base, which is something a lot of people are doing now in response to the Terran fast expansion. So ASD entered into the mid-game with a Marine Tank Banshee armor. Caught Hero completely off guard with a few cloaked Banshees, which it does happen every now and then. So Hero had really no detection. He took a ton of damage from those Banshees, but he was able to recover relatively well because of his fast third base. This is really one of the benefits of getting that fast third base. ASD transitioned into a more standard bio composition. He was still able to roll over Hero's army in their first engagement, but instead of pushing, which sometimes, I mean, this is kind of one of those gut check moments in a game. Instead of pushing into Hero's expansions, he fell back and then expanded. He pulled an Artosis, and when he was ahead, he tried to get further ahead, but he didn't keep the lead. It gave Hero a chance to recover, and he slowly got back into the game with a fully teched army with Colossus and High Templar. And eventually Hero's army just came too strong, and he was able to steamroll ASD Bio's army to earn the comeback when it was really, I think, the best game in the series. As we move on to the second game, it was on the Belshir Beach, of course, the winter version. It is a quite interesting map. You don't even really realize it, that it is the old Belshir Beach. In this game, Hero went for Nexus first again. He was up against fast cloaked Banshees, though, from ASD. So the first Banshee was able to get in and got a few kills. But Hero was able to get his Observer out in time and prevent it from doing game-ending damage. He didn't kill too many probes with it. It was killed. So ASD followed up with an expansion, transitioned into this Thor Banshee composition that right now it's really becoming more and more popular over in Korea for the TVP. So with this Thor army, it was eventually too much, and he charged up the ramp, through Storms and Colossus Fire, and he broke Hero's natural expansion to take the game. So we went on to game 3, and it was on dual site. And typically on dual site, a lot of Terran players will go for this 1-1-1 build. We saw Puma do it, especially over at DreamHack. But ASD had something else in plan. So Hero went for this fast Stargate with Phoenix play, which is the same build that he used against Puma to shut down his 1-1-1 at DreamHack. And it's very popular on this map. But ASD went for the 1-Rax expand instead. And knowing he was behind, Hero tried to put some pressure on with Stalkers and his Phoenix, but he was easily defended and denied against. So ASD was able to roll through Hero's army shortly after to take the game and the series 2-1. Kind of an upset, I must say. But Hero has actually been doing a lot real quick, or a lot right now. I was talking to Kennegat last night during State of the Game, and this is his schedule. If he would have won last night in Code A, regardless of that, it's still pretty crazy. He went from Providence to DreamHack to Code A. Now he's leaving to NASL. If he would have won last night, he would have came home to play Code A against NEST. So, I mean, that's a crazy schedule, man. I don't care who you are. If you're the best player in the world, that has got to be a little bit tiresome.
Yeah, I mean, I know we've talked about this before, how players, whenever you interview the Koreans coming over to MLG, you say, well, how do you feel? I'd say you get a 50-50 chance of them saying really, really sick. Like, I feel terrible because I just took a 12-hour flight. I've been traveling. I've been practicing. And to then add on to that, I mean, that's just one trip back and forth. To then add on to that, the fact that he's doing four events in quick succession, it's the sort of thing where, you know what, he's succeeding. I mean, he didn't succeed in this, but overall, it seems like he won DreamHack. Seems like he's doing pretty good for himself. But at the same time, I feel like if this kind of tempo keeps up for events, managers are going to start having to pay way more attention to the travel schedule that these players, and maybe events are going to have to try to work together because of pressure from the managers, because this kind of stuff really takes a toll. I mean, and not just on the players, because who cares if they get sick, blah, but their play deteriorates. Like you, actually, I remember you said yesterday, or Artosis and Huck were saying yesterday, when a player has to deal with something like delays, but also like traveling like this, it affects the integrity of the tournament in some way. So I feel like that's something that's going to have to be addressed. But either way, ASD now going to play Nest T. So.
Yeah, that'll be an interesting match. Kind of to go back for that for 1 second, we've got 2 tournaments left here in 2012. NASL coming up this weekend, and then next week we have the WCG Grand Finals in Busan, I think.
And the Blizzard Cup.
But, yeah. Oh, and then we have the Blizzard Cup right after that. I keep forgetting that. But I feel like, at least I hope, next year in 2012 that players start choosing tournaments in the sense that they take time off. They don't go from weekend to weekend in a different country at a different part of the globe. It's really, really going to start to affect their play. And, I mean, we saw for a while there that Huck didn't go to that many tournaments, and now he really stepped it up and he started going to a lot of tournaments here at the end. Who knows if he was still at home practicing this entire time, how good he would be right now. I guess we would really get a chance to see that, but it's got me pretty excited for this offseason in December, where these players will have a lot more time to practice and they won't have to worry so much about tournaments. Thing is, though, I mean, are they going to use this off time to practice, or are they going to use this off time to actually have a vacation? Well, we really just have to see how the players deal with it. I know Idra is going over to Korea to practice at the Slayer's house with Huck, and I believe Puma as well. So we'll see how much they can really gain in the month, or however long they spend, month or two. Yeah,
well, that was one of the uniquely cool things about Brood War, because they didn't have a huge worldwide circuit to go through. That's something like Counter-Strike would have to, even though they didn't have the schedule quite like this, Counter-Strike at its peak, there was a lot of traveling going on, whereas Brood War would have, MSL, OSL, Pro League, whatever, but it would all be scheduled in a way where they were staying, they were practicing, and they had time to prepare for a match, and frankly, that made the play advance much faster, as opposed to this sort of sprint that the players have to engage in. So yeah, I'm with you. I hope it's figured out. It's obviously something that's going to have to be thought about by all parties involved, the players obviously too. Moving right along, Monster versus Curious. Curious 2-0'd Monster, and now I believe has a bye against Coca because he is dropped out for the rest of the year due to throwing those games in the Korean Weekly. We'll see what happens to him in 2012. And then DRG 2-0'd Lovesick. He faces the winner of Inca versus Teja, which we will talk about as soon as we're done with this commercial break. We'll see you guys in a couple of minutes. What is up, everyone? I am Chobopeon. This is SC Center. I am here with JP McDaniel. JP, have you heard any good names for our show? I know you like Scanned.
Scanned is pretty good. It's kind of long. I don't think people would understand what it is at first look. But other than that, I have not, man. The community they're messing up, man. They lost their passion. I've lost all respect for them. They don't give us names, man. We're just gonna have to go with StarCraft Report, I guess.
I mean, it's growing on me. I see it every day in the Team Liquid schedule. I kind of like it. I don't know. We'll see. We'll still give you a chance. If you guys want to give us suggestions, tweet at me. I'm at Chobopeon. He's at ItMeJP. The winner gets a year of MLG Gold. That is HD passes for all of 2012 and discounts off of the MLG store. And hey, the holidays are coming up, so why not? Anyway, back to Code A. Like JP said, 8,000 matches played every single night. Let's get to match 5.
It is crazy.
Yeah. So match 5, Boxer versus Violet. This is the round of 32, by the way. Game 1 on Belshire Beach. Boxer obviously looking to return to his former glory. In Game 1, Boxer went for a very aggressive one-base attack with Speed Reapers, Hellions, and a Medevac, while Violet went for a command center before barracks. With only Marines to defend, Boxers, Reapers, and Hellions were able to tear through everything and take a very quick win. I don't mean to say anything quick, but it was a very, very quick game. We're just giving you the update because it's Boxer, and we know you want to know. By the way, it is Virus. I totally messed up there calling him Violet. Excuse me, all the V's. Game 2 on Dual Site. We're trying to recover from the very quick game, but Boxer deciding to go for the same strategy again in Game 2. He was up against a more standard 1-1-1 play from Virus. This time Virus went for quick Banshee. Instead of leaving it home to defend, though, he sent it out to Boxer's main, and with the Banshee gone, Boxer hopped into Virus's main as soon as his first tank popped out and was able to clean up the entire army. Boxer defended the Banshee in the main with a Viking, and with a few Reapers left over, he was able to clean up almost all of Virus's SCVs, and that takes the game because it turns out you need SCVs to win. So Boxer going up 2-0, and he will face the winner of Xenio Marine King, which we will discuss in a minute because that was played later tonight as well. What happened with Inca Teja?
So
Tasia.
it's Tasia. I gotta
Tasia, sorry
correct
about
you.
that, man.
It's all right.
Why am I
All
doing
right,
a
so-
silent J all of a sudden out of nowhere?
I
What
don't
language
know.
am I
I don't know,
speaking?
man.
Tasia, yeah.
I don't know. His name might be hard to say, but he ended up taking out Inca last night 2-0. Not really the most exciting game. Game 2, we saw Inca try to do some DT cheese. Did not work for him. So Tasia will go on to play against DRG, which should be a pretty exciting match. DRG is, of course, the king of TVZ, as a lot of people have said. I believe it's one of his nicknames now. But he should take that. I'm hoping that it's a 2-1. It should be an exciting series in the round of 24, I believe. Then in the next match, it was Zenio, of course, the newest member of Team Liquid, going up against Marine King, and Zenio lost. So that was both Team Liquid players taken out last night. Marine King 2-0'd him. Was not the greatest match as well. And Marine King now goes on to play against Boxer, which is an awesome match. Because if you were not around, Marine King's original name was simply Boxer. And he really gained a lot of fans because of that. And then became Foxer, which is what the foreigner community called him. And now he's playing against his idol, so to speak. So that'll be an awesome match, a good old TVT. I would suspect Marine King to win that. But, you never really can count Boxer out. Some days he just really plays well, and some days he doesn't. So we'll really have to see what happens in that match.
Yeah, Marine King definitely the favorite, but like you said, who the hell knows with Boxer? Frankly, if I was a betting man and I was really going after the Boxer games, I'd be even poorer than I am now. Anyway, match 8, the final match of the night, Supernova versus Squirtle, TVP, Game 1, Antigua Shipyard. To finally wrap up what must have been a really marathon night, these round of 48 and 32s are crazy. Game 1, Supernova going for very aggressive Marine Marauder Hellion to shut down the Nexus first from Squirtle. Knowing he had no chance to defend, Squirtle retreats his probes and lets the Nexus die, and eventually has to break through a light bunker contained to try to reclaim his natural. Squirtle lets Supernova see him to start a new Nexus, cancels it just before it finishes to go for a huge attack with Immortals to try and break Supernova's expansion. And after a few minutes of intense fighting, which you're watching now, Supernova was barely able to hold with 4 bunkers, and he took the game. Game 2 on Calm Before the Storm, which I cannot say enough about because god damn I love that big old map. Really produces some good games, and I'm pretty sure this was another one that really went down to the wire. Supernova going for, wow, I totally am messing up here. I'm sorry. Very aggressive Marine Marauder Hellion. Expands. Supernova drops his Marines on Squirtle's expansion. Excuse me, I totally have messed up. While running Hellions up the ramp into his main, Squirtle defends the attack very nicely by dealing with Hellions first and forcing Marines to retreat without dealing very much damage. Supernova follows up his attack with standard bioplay and upgrades with 2 engineering bays. Was able to force a base trade situation. This is what I was talking about with it coming down to the wire. When Squirtle's army gets out of position, despite losing nearly all of his SCVs, Supernova was able to keep all of his orbitals alive and reduce Squirtle to 1 mining base. Squirtle went for 1 final attack into Supernova's main, and Supernova barely held it to force the surrender, take the series 2-0. And this is the sort of thing that I really like from this map. It makes positioning extremely important. It becomes this sort of tactical chess game where if you're not in the right place at the right time, if your mind isn't working correctly, all of a sudden you're open to an attack at your expansion, at your main. And I really like that sort of play. Kudos to them for, I've said it before, I'll say it again, kudos to them for keeping up with new maps. We need even more, but, got to start somewhere. Let's take a brief look at the round of 24 brackets for Code A. It's going to start December 5th, which I believe is just next week, next Monday, in fact. Round of 24 is going to be Huck versus Keen, Nesty versus ASD, Brown versus Lucira, Killer, Parting, Happy, Cezanne, July, Finn, MC Bomber, Gonzi Lucky, DRG, Tasia, Gumiho, Supernova, Coco Curious, except not, and Boxer Marine King. A lot of good ones coming up, so Code A is starting to really heat up, although I would say it's been heating up so far. Any particular ones you're looking forward to, JP?
July Finn, because I want to watch Finn play some more. Probably be good. Huck Keen might be interesting. Nesty, ASD. ASD might be able to take Nesty in that. He's been looking pretty strong so far. And probably, I would think, I think MC Bomber is probably going to be the most competitive out of any of those matches. Both players have done incredible things before, but they've kind of fallen off, so to speak. So we'll really have to see. I believe the round of 24 is the new up and down. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Yeah. So whoever wins these goes into Code S. Is that?
Yes.
Okay. So yeah, that's a pretty big match then. I mean, Nesty, he could fall out of Code S. MC, he could fall out, and Huck could fall out as well if he loses to Keen. So we'll have to see. I'm super excited for that. I just wish that there were not so many freaking matches to watch, man. It's StarCraft 24 hours a day, nonstop.
It really is.
Which I guess I shouldn't complain about, but
I mean, it's a
there's a lot to
problem, but it's a
watch.
good problem to have.
And I will say that was Doa's last night of casting the
Oh, yeah.
GSL. Thank you to him for bringing us all those games. I know it's a very grueling job over there casting all those matches each night. He's going to be joining the crew over at IPL, so we'll still be seeing him, and pretty excited for that. We'll have to see how that works out. I know him and Cat's Pajamas are pretty good friends, and we'll see what happens once they start casting more and more together.
Yeah, Katz was putting forth the name Doa's Pajamas, which
It's not bad.
We'll see. We'll see. Every duo needs a nickname apparently. Anyway, what you were just talking about, it is the up and down matches, and that segues perfectly into our stat of the day. Which, by the way, every day our writer Reese Flexner puts up SC2 by the numbers on MajorLeagueGaming.com. You should check it out. It has a more in-depth version of what we're going to talk about here. He's kind of a stats freak. I don't know where he pulls it out of, but his one today actually refers to the new, more volatile format in the GSL this season. So because of it, a lot of people were expecting major knockdowns and changes. And since 90 games have already been played in Code A so far, speaking of a lot of games, that's just Code A. It's ridiculous. We can sort of gauge the results of the volatile format to some extent. And the idea is Codesters have done much better than many people seem to have been expecting. Far from, an overdue washout of players resting on their laurels. They've been in Code S so long because it was so easy to stay there. Only one player has dropped out of GSL altogether, and already 5 Code S players are guaranteed to make it back in because 5 of the 12 round of 24 matches are going to be Code Sers going head-to-head. Each of the 7 other matches feature a Code A player going up against a Code S player for admittance into Code S, so we could see another Code S sweep there. We're obviously not sure what's going to happen, and of the 7 Code A players trying to prevent that from happening, that's Brown, Lucky, Finn, Parting, Cezanne, they'll all be fighting to make their Code S debuts, while Keen and Boxer will be looking to restore their former glory. There's another part to this stat of the day, and it's about Protoss, and of course, something been a problem all over StarCraft world for months and months, but especially pronounced in GSL was Protoss trying to be more heavily represented in Code S. So they've kind of continued their Code A struggles despite the new format. And despite a strong start to the season, they've dropped from 17 to just 5 Protoss players with a dismal 2-7 record in matches this past round. The number of Zergs has fallen from 13 to 8 in the same time, and the number of Terrans has actually risen from 10 to 11. So considering the fact that Protoss players are 2-12 at getting through group style up and down matches over the past 3 seasons, the few left in Code A have to win this week if they want to increase their representation in Code S for 2012. So, I'm hoping more Protoss representation in Code S. I think we all are, but we shall see. I know that the NASL finals are this weekend. I know you talked about it last night on State of the Game. Any favorites you guys got picked out?
I mean, the entire tournament is incredibly stacked. They have 16 great players. The thing that I want to talk about on the show today is I think it was Greetorp. I'm not sure. I think it was Greetorp.
It was Greetorp,
so he tweeted a video kind of showing the stage, the arena, so to speak. And it's kind of an interesting layout. It's a little bit different than we've seen.
Nice.
I believe that stage is surrounded, it looks like. So there's 4, possibly 3 monitors there. A little bit different of a setup. I'm really interested to see how that's going to work out. I love seeing new ideas like this. Of course, at DreamHack, we learned a lot as to what works. The couch, for example, was an awesome deal. And who knows, man, in ASL, I mean, we talked about, we actually were incredibly critical of them last night on the show, giving them a ton of shit for season 2, and I was posing questions like, are they going to die if this is a complete failure, et cetera, et cetera. But seeing that, I'm pretty excited for this weekend, that I really want to see how it works out. Hopefully, they won't have the same problems they did for NASL Season 1, at least at the start, and we'll have a great tournament this weekend, because if everything runs smoothly, those players are going to cause some great, great matches, and I don't know who's going to take it. I mean, there are some huge names in there, of course, Huck, Idra, Puma's going, Hero's going, Damaga might be able to take it all. Sin, the dark horse, but not really. He's just a player that could win any tournament. You just never really think about it. They've got some great, great players going, so I'm super excited for that. It'll start at 11:15 or 11:25, I think, on Friday will be the StarCraft 2 stream. That is local time there in California, so that is Pacific. So us Central and East timers don't have to wake up so early to watch it, which I'm pretty excited for. But it's going to be a lot of fun. I can't wait for it to start. Who's your pick, Patrick?
Who's my pick? You know, I listened to Artosis talk about Sen last night, and
You going to ride the hype train?
not really, no. But I'm interested to see. I'm not picking Sen, but I'm interested to see, like, is he going to live up? Does anyone ever live up to what Artosis says, though? Did Artosis just jinx Sen?
Well, Nest for a while was, but then he went to MLG, and now he's kind of fallen off, so to speak. He's in a quote-unquote slump, but...
Right. My God, a pick for this. I don't know. I mean, it was funny because Artosis was like, well, you got Sen, but also then you got guys like Idra, Huck, and he eventually picked the entire tournament to win there, although he did eventually stick with Sen. I mean, it's going to be a stacked tournament, a lot of really good foreign players. My question to you, though, last night you were talking really briefly, I just want to get this. You did mention this a second ago. You said and you posed this question to Jeff, if this tournament sort of bombs, is that it for NASL 2? And Jeff said, well, that's sort of true to some extent for every tournament, every organization, right? Which it doesn't seem like, at least from my perspective, it is, at least not to this extent. What were your thoughts on the answer to that question? Because I don't remember them, and I want to know what you were thinking when you posed that question.
I mean, NASL Season 1 at the start had its problems. The finals, I believe, I asked if the finals saved the tournament, and I actually believe they do, and I think everyone else did as well. I don't think they're going to die. Artosis brought up a point last night that they've said that they're going to do 3 seasons regardless, which is
they had the money.
Something. Do what?
They had the money to begin with. I remember when they announced it.
It's something that I forgot about.
Yeah.
So we'll see. I mean, I think it's always good to have more tournaments, especially on this scale. Because like I was talking about earlier, it's always good to have someone else to emulate. For example, the couch at DreamHack. I mean, that was a brilliant idea, something so simple that everyone should have been doing. And I hope moving forward that maybe NASL is going to have something similar. But we'll really have to see. I mean, I don't know how much room there is going into 2012. We talked about how some of these players are kind of getting oversaturated with the amount of tournaments out there. We'll see, though. Obviously, it's going to have a 3rd season. We'll see if it goes beyond that. I don't really know how they're doing financially or anything like that. I have no idea. I have not talked to, oh man, I'm forgetting his name for some reason. Do what?
Russ?
Yeah, there we go. I have not spoken to Russ in quite some time. But from what I hear, at least from what Jeff was telling us, that they're doing quite well. So we'll really have to see. The only people that really know the answer to that question, I think, is NASL. And I hope they continue on, and I hope that this weekend goes incredibly well for them.
Yeah. I wish I could have made it out to California. But anyway, moving on to one of the last topics of the day. Last night, the final American qualifier for the Intel Extreme Masters Kiev finished up. It was a 16-player, best-of-3, double elimination tournament. So players earned a spot by placing top 4 in one of the 3 previous qualifying tournaments, or being an invited player. Its Gosu player DDE qualified through the winners bracket, beating Adaro, QXC, and Strifecro in the process. Chilean Dignitas member Killer, wasn't he supposed to change his name, or was that the Korean one? I don't remember. Anyway, there was a bet. Anyway, managed to secure the other finalist spot through a long losers bracket run. Killer was knocked into the lower bracket by Strifecro. in just the second round, forcing him to beat 5 more opponents in a row to advance. He was up to the challenge, though, beating QXC and Adaro before getting revenge on StrifeCrow to win a spot at the IEM Global Challenge in Kiev, which is coming up. Both Killer and DDE have been invited to the tournament, and they were the first and third seeds. So I'm excited to see more IEM tournaments. They always put on a good show. JP, what else are you up to outside of this fine show?
Well, we got, I think we're going to start doing some more stuff tomorrow on this show, doing some more graphical work. You know, we're waiting on an actual name to really start turning out a lot of different graphics. But are we just going to stick with StarCraft Report? I kind of like it. Clutch was actually in the chat and said we should just call it SCR. I like the way that Rings will... There's also the daily stem. I don't like the
You can't call it daily, though, because it's the Day 9 has the daily. He has a monopoly on it.
That's the quote-unquote daily. So maybe we'll just keep it SCR and we'll do graphics. But tomorrow we will be changing things a little bit. And if you ever watched Pardon the Interruption and seen the sidebar, we're going to try to introduce that tomorrow. It might be Friday. But this week we're going to try, to bring that out for you guys. But other than that, I'll probably be streaming some StarCraft 2 Korean ladder tonight, as I have been playing Zerg over there primarily, trying to get into Masters. Right now I'm at the top of Diamond, I believe. I think. It's been a couple weeks, so I'll probably be terrible when I start playing. But other than that, man, just kind of enjoying the quote-unquote break that we have right now, because pretty soon it's going to start getting crazy hectic for everyone at MLG as we start playing in 2012 with more involvement, so to speak.
Nice. I'm trying to pull connections to get a CSGO connection beta.
Oh, that's right. CSGO comes out today. Well, maybe I won't be playing StarCraft.
I need to do
I
that.
forgot about that.
Yeah, that's pretty exciting. I'm a big CS fan. Anyway, stay tuned. Fox is coming up next. He has Sam and Ted from ESFI coming on to talk about DreamHack, to talk about what Artosis was talking about last night on State of the Game, and to talk about just independent journalism and esports in general, which has been a very hot topic in the community lately. So thank you to JP, thank you to Reese and Galen, our writers. I am Chobopeon. He is JP on Twitter. Tell all your friends. We're here every day, 5 p.m. Eastern. See you guys later.